Professor Dr. Andy Liew is currently the Deputy Vice Chancellor in HELP University Higher Education Learning Philosophy, overseeing the online teaching and learning as well as the quality assurance of the university. He was the Secretary General for Asian Association of Open Universities from 2010 till 2012, with 60 over open universities or institutions across the Asia region. He is a resource person and appointed assessor for the Malaysian Qualification Agency (MQA) and Ministry of Higher Education because he has held as a senior administrative positions of higher education because he has in open distance learning institutions in Malaysia over the span of more than a quarter decade in the academic realm. Moreover, he was the chair to the MQA panel of experts developing guidelines to good practices for Apple C, credit transfer, and Apple Q, academic qualification, as well as the Code of Practice for Program Accreditation for ODL programs. Throughout his involvement at the various international level organizations and collaborations, he has built an extensive network with peers from renowned open distance learning institutions across Asia, Commonwealth of Learning, International Council for Open and Distance Education, and UNESCO Bangkok. So his field of interest, specializations, and involvement cover a broad spectrum ranging from quality assurance in higher education and online learning, strategic planning of the university, open educational resources (OER), accreditation of prior experiential learning, and digital transformation of higher education institution.
All right, fellow colleagues, good morning from Penang, which is actually 1,000 miles away from, or quite a distance away from Sarawak UNIMAS. And indeed, saya berasa amat bertuah dan bangga kerana akhirnya dapat kita bertemu di pagi yang mulia ni. Now, though not physically on site, but through this virtual platform. And as usual, moga-moga apa jua yang menyelubungi pesada maya ini diberkati dan dirahmati selalu. This is what we always would pray for, all right? And thank you, Dr. Hafiza, again for the very generous introductory remark. And of course, all the mada-madamu yang manis menyentuh hati saya di sini. So for that, let me reciprocate by melafaz serangkap pantun untuk merangsang minda dan mengusik jiwa rakan-rakan di UNIMAS. Sebelum kita mula sesi perkongsian kita di pagi ini. Pertemuan ini lakaran hati. Kerinduan terpendam terlerai kini. Seminar ODL idaman hati. Moga ilmu ODL berkembang di sini. So let me run through with you basically, or rather the gist or my storyboard for today's session. Now, as you can see in this slide, there is a montage of different definition that you see which are related to ODL. Some would say is online distance learning ODL, but in fact it is not. If you go back to the history like a decade ago or 2, 3, or even a century ago, it is not online distance learning, but rather open distance learning. We'll run through this very, very quickly so that all of us are on the same page of exactly what is this 3-letter words forming an acronym for the open distance learning. Now, with the COVID pandemic raging through Malaysia and across the globe, there is this growing realization about the importance of distance education. And you will know in the past, in a public institution, there is always a pusat pengajian or faculty known as pengajian jarak jauh, pusat pengajian pendidikan jarak jauh. So that in fact is actually one of the bentuk of open distance learning. And open distance learning, the primary purpose is to improve access and equity to support teaching at all levels. Now, with the COVID pandemic, you will see a lot of emergence of new terminologies. For example, blended learning, hybrid learning, or even this particular word, HyFlex, 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 which is a combination of hybrid and flexible learning. So there will be a lot of terminologies that you will see nowadays that are connected to open distance learning. So what we are trying to share with you, whatever terminology that people would be using, whether it is e-learning, online learning, adult education, open learning, they all fall under the umbrella of ODL. So it is very crucial for all of us here this morning to understand what exactly resides in these three simple words: open distance learning. Now, from a scale of 1 to 5, could I seek your cooperation to rate how much do you know about ODL? 5 being the most. We want to just gauge the general understanding of colleagues that are attending this morning. Perhaps you could just type in the chat function so that I could quickly look at your general understanding of ODL. Thank you very much. I see people are responding. There are 32232. What about the rest? Could you just... Wow, there's even a 3.5. Amazing. Oh, 0.0051 is a fantastic one. Very creative. Is that all for the participants that are attending this morning? The reason I'm asking is that I was hoping to see somebody who is able to tell me a 4 or even a 5. Because the 4 or 5 individual perhaps would be the champion that will lead the ODL delivery or development in UNIMAS. But doesn't matter because knowledge and skills and competencies can be acquired as long as we are willing to learn. So over here, as you yourself can actually see in the chat group, there are various level of understanding within this group, but majority would be at the intermediate level. For example, it would be at 3. Doesn't matter. We will try to cater to the needs of the various group here because we do not want to abaikan certain group and say that because you know that much, I need to focus on those who is 0.005. No. So we will make sure that we do not leave anybody out in the quest of sharing the ODL related matters. Now, every one of us has a story to relate. Everyone, especially all of us here in the session this morning, we all have our own stories. So the story for today basically would be looking at an overview of ODL, because this is very, very important. If we do not look at the overview of ODL, then it is difficult for us to be aligned in our thoughts, aligned in our actions, processes, and procedures. Secondly, we ought to understand in ODL, there are certain terminologies that are unique to ODL itself, where conventional, traditional program would not have those terminologies. And thirdly, definitely, we need to touch, or rather, to get a feeling of what exactly is this COPA ODL. Now, the COPA ODL is still the same, having the same 7 areas of evaluation. So what exactly are the differences between this COPA ODL and the original COPA. This is again, we will probably highlight some of the salient features of this COPA ODL, because when you do submission to MQA, you need to fulfill all the standards, particularly related to the ODL delivery. And then, of course, number 4 would be the discussions. Now, I would really prefer this mode of delivery, whereby if there is any ambiguity or questions from your side, as Dr. Hafiza has mentioned, please jump in and interject at any point of time. We do not want to leave it towards the end. Only then we start looking at the Q&A or discussing the areas that you probably need further clarifications. Now, before I move on again, I would like to hear from you. If you are a student or a learner intending to pursue an ODL program, what do you think would be the misconceptions that this category of individuals would have about ODL? Can colleagues easy to achieve? Can we have more from your side, colleagues? Spend probably a minute or so to think and let us hear your views on this. What about the rest? Easy to copy here and there. They can't get into proper face-to-face program. Do you understand why I'm actually interested to know the misconceptions here? Because by knowing the misconceptions, we would understand what are their possible challenges or problems. And their challenges and problems can actually be a very useful information for us to plan our development or delivery or even assessment. No, even one answer here is very interesting: can outsource assignments. And very true, especially working adults, they are very, very creative, and they would have the financial ability to engage a third party to help them to do their assignments or even their project. So let me come back to these challenges here. When we talk about these misconceptions, as you pointed out right from the beginning, is easier. Always this misconception that ODL program is easier, number one. Number two, ODL program requires less time, meaning they would have the understanding that when I pursue an ODL program, I don't have to attend or come to the campus every day for 5 days, pursuing different classes, lectures, or tutorials. This is their misconception. Now, another misconception that they have is that I don't need to rely on my teacher, or I don't need to rely much on the institution. I can actually work at my own pace. And the other fearful thing about the social interaction or presence is that they think they would not be able to get to know the other students very well. And also they would be having this notion that I wouldn't know or I wouldn't get individual attention from my professor. The last part, which is the scariest one, would be I won't learn as much as I learn in a traditional class if I were to pursue a ODL program. So based on these misconceptions, we would then need to plan out what should we do to remove all these misconceptions. Now, I have only 2 words for you to remember. If you are a stakeholder in the delivery of ODL program, just remember 2 words, especially when you're doing the planning of an ODL program. Number one, how do I make sure my students can learn independently? Meaning, without me as a cikgu being there, how do I make sure that they can learn independently? Number one. Number two, how do I make sure there is interactive learning? Meaning there is learning between the students, between student A and student B, and student A with student C, and etc. and etc. And between the student and the tutor themselves. So always remember these two I's. One would be independent learning, the other one would be interaction. Now, when we come to the kind of learning support services for ODL program, I would bring out this two I's again. Because whatever we do, whatever we plan, it is always about these two I's. All right? So let me move on to the next one. So these are the misconceptions that we have been talking about. I will skip this slide now. Now, the associated terminologies of ODL, as I mentioned just now in the montage of the second slide, there are many, many terminologies that have been used to describe ODL. Perhaps right now, the most common one would be the E, the petal E. If you look at the petal E here, it is all about technology-driven education. And this is where you have e-learning, online learning. Now, a lot of people have been asking this common question. What is the difference between e-learning and online learning? Now, e-learning means E is electronic. So it is what are the gadgets, devices that we use, probably computer, laptops, handphones. So those kind of learning that occur through the electronic devices, then it is regarded as e-learning. Now, the other one is online learning. Online learning basically means learning through this internet that we are seeing right now, the LMS that you may have, which is accessible through the internet from anywhere, anytime, any place, as long as there is an internet connection. So the most common one that people would connect to right now for ODL is in the petal E. The one in F is the most traditional one, where it was the beginning of the open distance learning, correspondence education. Now, if you are here, or rather you are my age, you will realize that when ODL started in Malaysia, with partner institutions from overseas, like for example, open universities in United Kingdom or University of Southern Queensland, Australia, they have degree that are franchise to Malaysia institutions here. So what they do is that they send these course materials in hard copies to the institutions every semester. So this course material is actually the SIM that we are talking about, the self-instructional materials. And when we submit to MQA, we are required to submit the SIM for the first semester of studies in the program that we are applying for. So the next question is, I would really hope by the end of this session of 3 hours, a very brief 3-hour session, you will be able to tell colleagues that if they were to ask you, Dr. Hafiza, you have been in this session for 3 hours this morning. What exactly have you learned? Or what can you tell me about ODL? So under ODL, I need you to remember there are 3 terminologies here. The open here refers to the access, openness. That means we allow equity and equality to access higher education. So this is access. Now, access for open, flexibility is also for openness. So when we say flexibility here, I'll give you one example. In conventional learning, the learners are required to take X number of courses in a semester. For example, if you have a first semester degree students, undergraduate degree students, they may probably take 5 courses or 6 courses in a semester. They cannot say, I want to take 3, I want to take 2, I want to take 1. No. But in ODL, they are given this flexibility of registering for the number of courses that they think they are able to handle in that semester, because ODL learners are working adults, primarily are working adults, and they have many commitments. They have commitment of the family, commitment of work, commitment of studies, and their own personal commitment. So it is very difficult to say, hello, Mr. So-and-so, you got to register for 5 courses under my ODL program in the first semester of studies. You can't. Because if we do that, then you will see a lot of people dropping out in the next semester because they can't cope. They cannot juggle the family commitment, the study commitment, and the work commitment together. It's very difficult to have 4 or 5 courses in a semester. So this is where we infuse the flexibility element here. Now in ODL, there are a lot of flexibility features that we award to the learners, that we cater to the learners here, because they are not the traditional learners. So that is open. So open, remember, it talks about access, it talks about flexibility. Now the word distance is always referring to, there is always a pemisahan between the learner and the teacher. So when there is a pemisahan, this is where we talk about how do we make sure that the learner can learn at their own time, own pace. So what do we provide to the learner when there's a separation between the teacher and the learner? So this is where we need to ensure there is independent learning. Now, for independent learning to occur, this is where we need to have SIM, the self-instructional material. This is where we need to have the LMS, your learning management system, that connects learners, connects teachers together in the same platform to learn, unlearn, and relearn. All right? So that is about separation. Now, the last word here, learning. How do we deliver this learning? So this is where we talk about delivery. And this delivery here, we no longer look at hard copies anymore, because with the advent of technology, everything can be done online. And this is proven through the COVID pandemic, where we encountered this for 1.5 years ago. So when we deliver, we need to look at the systems, the technologies. We need to institute processes. We need to have enough resources, meaning this is the part where you got to look at populating your digital library with enough resources. We don't want them to come into the classes now, or rather come to the campus and say, I need to go to this physical library and borrow certain books, or look at journals that are are compiled in the hard copy format. No more. Everything has to go online. So this is the delivery mode. So I hope with this simple explanation on what exactly is hidden under these 3-letter words here, open distance learning, everyone would then now comfortably be able to tell people that I have now mastered, or I am now more aware of what exactly is hiding behind these 3 simple letter words, open distance learning. All right. Any question up to this point?
So far, there's no question in the chat box.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dr. Hafiza. So moving on, then we look at the uses of ODL. Now, ODL here, it happens to be running very prominently in the higher education sector. This is why we are looking at the third box, university level. Now, ODL can be used in many, many other areas. Basic education, for example, in primary, secondary, or kindergarten, ODL can be an element in there. Teachers training, vocational colleges, as you can see in the last tab here, technical and vocational institutes or colleges. Non-formal education, for example, MOOCs done offered by Coursera, offered by Udemy, offered by Open Learning. Those are also using ODL as the delivery mode. All right. So please be mindful when we talk about ODL, it's just a vehicle. ODL is just a vehicle. So we got to ask ourselves this question: who uses this vehicle? And the answers are clearly reflected in the slide given here. All right. Now, this is also another very critical area that all of us have to understand this very well, because when we talk about ODL, these are the common terminologies that will surface every now and then. Now, the face-to-face interaction, as we mentioned just now, remember 2 I's, the independent learning and the interaction. And the face-to-face, as you look at the COPA ODL, they did not say that you must have 20 hours of tutorial or 20 hours of lectures in a semester for your ODL programs. But they did mention you must have face-to-face tutorial. And the beauty of this is that they also allow the institution for the face-to-face interaction. You can have the physical on-site face-to-face, meaning they attend classes in a campus. That is a form of face-to-face. Or the other face-to-face is just like what we are experiencing right now is through the virtual platform. So this is also considered face-to-face. So when you design your ODL delivery program, please remember you have to keep the face-to-face interaction to the minimal level. I give you one example. If it is a 14 weeks of studies or classes, 14 weeks of classes, yeah, without exams, without revision, 14 weeks, you may only consider having the most 3 tutorials. They call it tutorials. They don't call it lectures. So they have it like 3 tutorials in a semester. There are certain institutions that only have one tutorial. So it is still fine. It is MQA won't come back and say, why are you having one tutorial? No, it's still perfectly fine. But if you have one, students will be unhappy, because at the end of the day, ODL learners are still human beings. They have a heart, they have a soul, and they want to interact with the cikgu. So if you put them with 0 or 1 face-to-face interaction, they would not be happy and they will be very demotivated. And if that happens, you will find a lot of your students drop out in the second semester. And let me tell you, the problem here is very, very real in ODL programs. The marketing department will spend hours and hours and hours to recruit a student. All right. But if the delivery part from our side as an academic, as a planner here, are not done accordingly, they will just leave you without even telling you I am leaving, or without even completing the withdrawal form formally. They just leave you like that. They just disappear. Even you try to call them, they wouldn't pick up your calls. All right. So these are real problems that we are sharing, because when we interact with other open distance learning institutions, whether it is in Malaysia or outside Malaysia, it's a common problem. So you need to have. But even when you have, for example, if you have 3 face-to-face interaction, students will still come back to you, say, Cikgu, I don't have enough. I need more. But you cannot be saying, okay, I will consider that and give you more tutorial class in the next semester. No, don't ever fall into that trap, because it will never be enough. Trust me. You know why? Because The perception of this distance learner is, when I come to class, I want you to teach me. I want you to teach me. But in ODL, it's not me teaching you, but it's how I facilitate your learning. That is why it is known as tutorials. It is not known as lectures. So when you prepare tutorial classes, if I'm the cikgu preparing for tutorial classes, I must make sure I go in and facilitate the learning. I will probably tell them this is what you should do before you come to the class. And when you come to the class, I'm discussing whatever key concepts or related matters that I need to highlight there. Not going through the entire SIM, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3 in the SIM, in the tutorial class. No, no, no. A big no for that. All right? So it's facilitating. That is why when I mention you facilitate learning, you must make sure how do you initiate the learning before they come to the class. You got to have your SIM ready. Your SIM would be a learning materials that they would read in your absence. So that means when you design your SIM, you must make sure your SIM is interactive. You must make sure your SIM is like a cikgu in the SIM talking to the learner. It cannot be a SIM like you reading a textbook. If you read a textbook, it's just like one way. We are going in one way or the other way coming in, right? We want it to go both ways. So this is where SIM features are very important. And you got to engage the learners through your LMS. Right before the tutorial, you got to make sure some activities are already happening in the LMS through the forum or through you giving learning materials to them. All right. So this is face-to-face. And the electronic platform, as we have mentioned, you must have one. Now, then the question is, Andy, what kind of electronic platforms, what basic features must I have in this LMS? My answer to you is very, very simple. There are three, or rather there are a few key features that you must make sure you have in an LMS. Number one, the LMS must have a content propagation tool. There are different tools that you should have. Number one is content propagation. We do not talk about the layout in the LMS yet. Layout is just something appealing to the eyes of the learners. But it is more of the tools. You must be able to propagate the content. That means if I'm the cikgu, I can upload any videos, I can upload my SIM, I can upload screencasts, I can upload podcasts, anything I can upload. All right? Learning materials, content propagation. Number two, it must have a communication or collaborative learning tools. And this one actually we are referring to the forum. All right? Because forum is very important. Forum is where you engage the learners. You make sure there's collaborative learning among the different groups of learners. That is the communication tool that we are talking about. The next one would be evaluation or assessment tools, where you can set up quizzes. All right? Where you can set up probably case studies, assignments, that would evaluate the students and to pace the learning of the students. So it's evaluation and assessment tools. All right. So three things here: content, communication, evaluation. Now, the other thing that you must look at in your LMS, whether you are going to develop your own LMS or you subscribe to an LMS, let's say from Canvas. There are many providers of LMS out there right now. Even the Open Learning in Malaysia, they also have an LMS that you can subscribe to. That means it's a commercial base or an open source base. The institution decides. Okay, the institution decides on what kind of LMS that I want. Do I want a commercial LMS or do I want a self-developed LMS? You decide. Now, whatever that you have, you must make sure that it allows plugins. Plugins means, for example, if I think there is a special tools that I need, I can infuse it into my LMS. For example, now you heard about augmented reality and virtual reality, right? There are a lot there are a lot of software on augmented and virtual reality. So that software, you have to bring this software into your LMS if you're using that as a teaching and learning tools. So this is where we talk about plug-in. Another thing is all of you are very familiar with this term, this software, Turnitin software, the anti-plagiarism software, right? So you must have this software infused into your LMS instead of you bring your students out to another platform to use another software. We don't want. We want to make sure everything is down in one umbrella under the LMS. And the fifth one, your LMS must be able to be integrated with your other systems, your digital library system, your student information system, because you want all the information from your student information system to go directly into your LMS. That means you don't want to key the data of every student in your LMS, Magento. It will drain the administrator who is managing the LMS. Integration. All right. And the last aspect, number 6, is definitely we're talking about data analytics. Your LMS must able to help you to harvest the data so that you can do some data analysis. And this is not about the traditional analysis of data using regression, ANOVA, those things. No more. We are not talking about that. We are talking about higher level of data analytics, which is the big data or data mining. All right. So please remember these 6 things that you need to look at if you are having an electronic platform. And this electronic platform is emphasized in the COPA ODL. So meaning when you submit your application for an ODL program, they want to see you have your in-house developed or you have a commercial platform that you subscribe to. All right. And you need to tell them what are in the platforms. And if you're able to tell them you have the 6 things that I mentioned to you about the platform, then it will be perfect. It will be excellent. The content, tools, communication tools, remember, that allows you to initiate collaborative learning, the plugins, the integration, and two other. All right. So remember those 6 things that we mentioned just now in the electronic platform. Now, the other thing that you need to have if you're running an ODL program, you must have an online help desk. Whether your online help desk would be in the LMS or under the digital library system, it's up to you. But this online help desk is like a gateway for these students to come to you when there is a problem. That means the person managing the online help desk or creating the online help desk must be able to say, I'm receiving this inquiry from this learner, so I need the faculty to excuse me, I need the faculty to resolve this issue. So I send it to the faculty and the faculty will reply and close the loop. Or is this a question on bursary? Is this a question related to registry? Then I send it to different people. This is where online help desks will come in. All right. You don't want this to happen. Remember, colleagues, you don't want one help desk in registry, one help desk in bursary, one help desk in library, one help desk in academic school. No, don't do that, because your information are going everywhere if you do that. You want to bring everything centralized. So at the end of the day, you can harvest the data from this online help desk and understand, when I run my ODL program for the first semester, what were the major issues faced by my learners? Then this is where you do CQI, isn't it? your continuous quality improvement. Are you clear on this? All right. So if you do have this, explain this in your COPA ODL program, and they would then be able to see, wow, this is a good practice. UNIMAS has thought through this very, very terperinci, okay, to make sure that all learners are taken care of, to make sure that the processes are improved from time to time. All right. Now, this subject matter expert are actually the lecturers in UNIMAS. Usually it's like this in traditional learning process. Now, the subject matter expert can be the content writer of the SIM. All right. Now, the content writer here, it can be the lecturer in-house, or you can actually appoint somebody from other institutions to write your SIM. This is the beauty of ODL. If the lecturers, in-house lecturers, are inundated with too much obligations, too many, just couldn't handle. Tak boleh dah melimpah-limpah tanggungjawab hakiki dia. But you are asking this person to, can you write a SIM for me? Can you develop a SIM? The answer is no. So you got to look out. So when you look out, then you got to appoint. When you appoint, this is where you need to look at your resources. The ODL Center in UNIMAS would then have to say, for a person writing a bachelor degree SIM, I pay RM1. I'm just giving you one example, RM1 for bachelor degree. For master degree, I pay RM2. For doctorate degree, DBA, I pay RM3. RM3 for the whole SIM of the course. All right. So this is where you got to set all this down, and you got to have all this timeline. Let's say if I appoint Dr. Hafiza to be the content writer for marketing, a course on marketing, I would tell Dr. Hafiza, I'm going to pay you RM1, and you're got to supposed to deliver this course, finish the write-up to me within 3 months. So this is where you got to track the progress of Dr. Hafiza. If in the SIM you have 10 units, you don't wait until Dr. Hafiza finish the 10 units and send it to UNIMAS. No. Every 2-3 units, you go after Dr. Hafiza. I need your first 2 units. Send it to me. Because you will then send it to the ID instructional designer to massage the content, the way it is presented. Because instructional designer is an important person in ODL because he is like a surrogate learner. It's just like, you know, we talk about surrogate mother, that means ibu tumpangan, which it is not legal in Malaysia, but is legalized in some countries, ibu tumpangan. So this ID is actually a surrogate learner. They are going to be your learner to see how to make sure when I redesign whatever content given to me under my care as an instructional designer, I must make sure I would read from the perspective of the learner, whether the learner would understand those content presented. That is where you put in ID. ID comes in here. All right. So ID is one of the resource person that you must have. Now, the question is this. You probably ask me, Andy, if I have 20 courses, how many IDs would I need? If I have 30 courses, how many IDs would I need? Now, in the past, when open universities were set up in Malaysia, they all have the resources. They all have this financial resource. They can employ a lot of IDs. And I know one institution that have almost like 20 over IDs for the whole institution. When the number of courses increases, they realize that no, cannot. I cannot keep on increasing my ID pools. Can you imagine one day if you have finished all the writing of all the courses, what would the 20 IDs there be doing? Then they will be redundant, isn't it? Their workload will drop tremendously, isn't it? So what you need to do right now is that two things. Number one, you definitely need ID, maybe a core team of IDs of 3 or 4 core teams. And this ID will work together with the subject lecturers, the course lecturer, and pass this ID knowledge to them. That means they are also writer, they are also people with the ID knowledge. Do you understand? I think this would be a better model than you employing 20, 30 IDs. You have a core ID to assist these lecturers out there. So this is where if the deans or anybody here or deputy deans are here, you must remember if you are scheduling your staff to manage an ODL course, you really need to look at the workload. Because the workload of managing an ODL course is definitely higher in the beginning. It's definitely higher in the beginning because of the development of SIM, because of the person has to set up the framework in the LMS, right? For every course, you must have that framework. So once this is done for 1 or 2 semesters, then it is quite a smooth journey for this lecturer already. It won't be so taxing to the lecturer anymore. Do you understand? But I'm not saying it's an easy job for the lecturer. It is still going to be very challenging because adult learners, they macam angsa gigit your cubit kamu kan. Dia tak akan lepas selagi dia dengar guru di langit guru di langit. So this is where adult learners are like this angsa. They will buy on this course coordinator or the lecturers throughout the whole semesters. And sometimes they will call you in the middle of the night because they are only free after 9, after 10 when the anak-anak ataupun habi atau isteri dah beradu. This is where they have time to come up to you. So when they come up to you, you got to make sure you tell them in your delivery process, in your LMS, you got to tell them, this is my consultation hours. You have to specify this. Otherwise, they will even text you, WhatsApp you in the middle of the night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. They have. Because you are new, you oblige, right? You will say, never mind, these are all new students. Be very careful. First semester, 2 semesters is okay. Third, fourth, fifth, you feel the stress. All right? When the stress emerge in you, then you will put the stress onto the students. Your tone, the way you reply, everything will be different then. Be very careful. All right? Human nature is like this. Okay? So in your LMS, you also must tell them, this is my consultation hours that you can contact me. I'm very happy to be to help you out during these hours. If you were to call me at an hour, this is not within the prescribed hours, please expect delay. Cakap macam tu. Alright? Tell them, please expect delay. Jangan kata, please do not call me not within this hour, because it shows that you are not friendly, right? But by saying, if you call me or you contact me outside of these prescribed hours, please expect delay. Isn't it? It's the same way, but different words I put on to it, correct? So please expect delay. They will call, oh, memang tak ada jawab. Cikgu dah kata, please expect delay. Okay? Rather than say, please do not call me, I need my personal time. Okay, because I've seen lecturers when we go audit, they will actually write that in the LMS, you know. Please understand, I'm also a human being like you. I need my personal life. Okay, so you can only make sure you contact me within these hours. I've given you the hours, so please do not how to say, come into my territory of the hours that I am supposed to be enjoying myself. Ada cara dia craft macam itu. So very bahaya. Okay, so the ODL center or the e-learning center that is managing the ODL programs, you must go in and look at what is crafted, what is You got to monitor, review, you got to pantau the LMS, because sometimes ada lecturer yang dia sangat kreatif. Benda dia yang you tak fikir akan muncul in the LMS. The messages by these people. So this is where you have to stop it. All right? Okay. Any question?
Prof,
Yes.
saya ada soalan, Prof.
Yes. Yep.
Ini just nak confirmation saja. Okay,
Dr. Azhar, is it?
yes.
Hi.
Saya just nak dapat ke confirmation. Adakah OUM menggunakan ODL?
Yes.
Okay. Sebab saya pernah mengajar OUM juga secara part-time sebelum pandemik. And then tutorial adalah sebanyak 4 kali saja. And the rest tu adalah secara online.
Ya, betul.
Okay,
Secara online tu maksudnya Azhar maksudnya in LMS lah ya.
Ya, betul.
Betul. So
Okay.
that's why the policy sama-sama Azhar. The policy here I think siapa yang bertanggungjawab in ODL, you kena ada policy dari atas diperturunkan ke setiap faculty. How many hours of tutorials are you looking at? How many times of tutorials? If you don't have this policy, Hafiza, every faculty will come up with their own number of tutorials, right? And this is very bahaya, because if I register for a program, I may be taking courses from faculty A, faculty B, faculty C. And kadang-kadang I see how come faculty A 3 kali, faculty B 4 kali, faculty C sekali. Then people will start comparing. People will start questioning you. A policy must be developed from the top. Number of hours, number of sessions, all right? And in ODL, as Azhar mentioned just now, he has been involved in OUM tutorial classes before, right? So that means OUM employ Dr. Azhar as a tutor. So you yourself also can employ tutors. That is permitted in ODL program. If you want to employ 100 tutors in your ODL program, pun boleh. It's not saying that your tutors must be part-time, full-time, 60, 40% tu tak ada. Tutor is all part-time. Clear? All right. So, yes, Visa.
One more question. Because right now we just starting to do ODL, to offer ODL. One more question about the workload of the lecturers itself. So currently we have lecturer that involved in conventional classes juga, and also we propose them to do the ODL juga kan.
Yes.
So how about the workload of the lecturers?
What is your current workload? What is your current highest load for a conventional lecturer? Paling banyak ataupun paling minima?
Paling minimum ya. I'm not so sure about the other faculties, but some of us for Faculty of Engineering, for one semester, some of them have like 9 or 12 credit hours per semester. Yeah, some of them.
So that is about like 3 to 4 courses lah, yeah?
3 or 4 courses.
All right. So, okay, I've seen from my experience in other institutions, not only ODL, but in conventional institutions like SAGI, INTI, a lot of higher education providers are doing ODL now. A lot. Bukan saja bukan saja open universities dah sekarang. Okay, even UNITA, UTA, semua dah buat ODL. So what they have done is that in the early phase, that means for the early stages, the 2 courses of conventional is deemed equivalent to 1 course in ODL. Because of the writing of the SIM, if you're talking about the writing of the SIM is done by the individual lecturers, that means they don't employ content writers dari luar. This is where you use the ratio. I nampak orang guna ratio ni 2 to 1 lah. So if you're teaching 4 conventional courses, I would reduce you to 2 conventional and I give you 1 ODL.
Thank you, Prof. Really, tips tu memang really good lah.
For the
Yeah,
early
as our
stages,
record.
Hafiza, early stages, so once the sim dah okay, then you equate 1 to 1 dah.
Okay, I see. For early stages, okay.
Masa dia nak develop the sim tu.
Okay. Clear.
Let's say now Hafiza buat sales and marketing course this semester. So I'll make sure that I don't give you a lot. I equate your 2 conventional to 1 ODL. But the next semester, when all your courses are ready for sales and marketing, I would say Hafiza, it is 1 to 1 now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so the next one is self-instructional materials seperti yang kita dah sebut tadi, and we will be looking at some of your sim nanti. All right. And what is important in your sim, again, the policy decision, Hafiza and colleagues. You kena ada framework in your sim. Framework dari segi dalam so-called self-instructional material ni, ada berapa unit, ada berapa chapter. Some people call it modules, right? Ada berapa bab dalam unit tersebut. So you got to decide. You cannot have let's say faculty dari, let's say Dr. Azhar punya 10 unit, 10 chapters. And when it goes to your faculty, Hafiza, 5 unit, 5 chapters. Terlalu jauh, amat jauh berbeza. It could be a range like 6 to 7, 7 to 8, or 8 to 9, macam tu. That means you do standardize this. The reason why this standardization is important because you can even, during your tutorial classes, you can say for my tutorial 1 is unit 1 to 4, right? Tutorial 2 is unit 5 to 7. Example, I'm just giving you an example. So by this, you help people to streamline their thoughts. So there must be a framework as the number of units, policy. Okay, sebab kadang-kadang kita tengok yang table 4, yang MQA 01, 02 tu, you ada sampai 14 minggu, 14 unit, right? So whether do you want to do this or you want to collapse them into units? Okay, so that is self-instruction material, number 1, the policy. Number 2 is that you got to have a framework. In my self-instructional material, every unit, every bab, every chapter, you must have a standard format. Maybe you say you got to start off with an intro of that unit, then you go into the body of knowledge, then you will say in every unit, I must have self-activities. I must have self-tests, all right? In every unit, I must have references. You faham tak? So all these are standardized. So when it is standardized, then you got to look at another aspect. Apakah font size yang kamu guna? Font type yang kamu guna? Is it double spacing, single spacing? So all this would come from the ODL center. That means you must have a sim template. Kalau tak, when you submit to MQA, one program, even in the same faculty, if you don't have this template, every faculty member would have different ways of putting. I may like Arial, another one may like Times New Roman, right? Another one may write another font type. Another one may do single spacing, double spacing. Another one may do justify, middle, or whatever it is, correct? So all this, you got to standardize. Otherwise, your self-instructional material would carry the personality of the individual lecturers. It won't carry the personality of the institution. Okay? And in the past, remember when it started off just now, kita kata the self-instructional material dulu adalah dalam buku-buku yang dikirim daripada Australia, UK kepada pelajar-pelajar di Malaysia, right? Buku-buku. Right now, it's not that. Semuanya telah dimasukkan ke dalam LMS. So when you have your LMS, selalunya in any LMS, they will tell you this is minggu pertama punya benda. Minggu kedua, minggu ketiga dan sebagainya, right? Or you want to say, this is for your unit 1, 2, 3, this is for your unit 2, macam tu punya. So which means, whatever self-instructional material yang kamu design tadi, you kena pecah-pecahkannya and masukkan ke dalam the proper tab dalam LMS. Kita tak boleh kata, okay, now I ada buku ini, SIM ni, but this SIM, the whole thing, I masuk ke dalam LMS sebagai PDF. Jangan. Students akan rasa very boring sebab dia kena flip. Walaupun dia tak buat physical flip, tapi dia kena scroll, isn't it? Do you understand? Even if you're HTML, sometimes you key in the keywords, PDF key in the keywords, it will just go up and down searching for you. Yes, but merumitkan, menyukarkan, right? So it's that you got to split them and put them into different parts of the LMS. That means your LMS also must have a framework also juga kan? Kalau tak, everybody will just go in and dump macam tu. So the framework would be LMS that, for example, there's a welcoming message from the cikgu. There's a welcoming message. Hello, so-and-so, I am Cikgu Hafiza. It's an honor, pleasure to be your cikgu, and blah, 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 and so on. You tell them your expectations, motivate them in your welcome message. Then you go on to the introduction, go on to whatever it is where you bring your self-instructional materials in. Then you also have discussion forum, right? You must have discussion forum every compartment there. And why I'm asking you to put into LMS as separate unit, because sometimes you may have YouTubes, you may have screencast, podcast yang kamu kata, oh bagus, my students boleh guna. So you masukkan, insert them. But for you to do that, you also have to be very careful when you design your course materials. Remember the copyright issues. Be very careful, yeah. Because sometimes kita tak tahu, kita download videos and put the whole videos dalam LMS. And when people start sharing, the owner of the video will come and sue the institution. Kan? So copyright is a very important aspect. So this is where maybe the ID or the editor yang terima all this benda-benda daripada lecturer would then look at the pictures. Sometimes the pictures yang mereka bubuh dalam itu are copyright. Okay, they are copyrighted. So you nak guna boleh. Then you must have a policy whereby if it's copyrighted, then I must write to the owner or the publisher to minta kebenaran, right, untuk guna. So siapa yang buat semua itu? So it is the ODL Center, the ID people, or the editor in that unit yang buat. Okay. So remember, copyright issues is another thing that you kena berhati-hati in the self-instructional material. Okay. Now, for me to perturunkan ilmu dalam jangka masa 3 jam, all the ilmu, I don't think is possible, but probably just highlight whatever important things that you should do. All right. Moderator is always there. Whether it's conventional ODL, it is always there, kan, moderator. Example, do you remember what is the tugas of the moderator in your conventional? Because I've been talking so far, on and on, I may have abaikan kamu semua yang ada di pesada maya ini. So maybe can I ask, is this Dr. Norizan binti Jaafar? Hafiza, I'm not checking whether Dr. Norizan binti Jaafar is present or not, but as I mentioned, I want to make sure that.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, Prof. I'm hearing.
Okay, good. What does a moderator do in the conventional setup?
Moderator.
Yes.
Facilitating the conversation, the discussion.
Okay. Okay. when you say facilitate discussion, probably is more on the, I presume you're talking about the forum, right? Rizan?
Yes, Prof.
That one is usually gelar individu tersebut sebagai tutor atau facilitator. But moderator, I'm sure you know moderator here. Moderator in Kopa. Anyone out there that can chip in? Katina Ayub. Sorry, because I got to call your name out and I do not know whether you are.
Sorry, Prof. I'm just trying to learn from here.
Oh, okay, don't worry. Jangan terkejut sangat ya kalau tak boleh jawab.
Prof.
At least.
Prof.
Yes, ya siapa cakap ni?
Siti Mariam here.
Hi Siti Mariam.
A newbie to ODL as well, but from the Faculty of Cognitive Sciences and Human Development. I think a moderator is a person who will, moderate, that's what it means. That means, in other words, vet all these materials, all the SIM that is posted online to make sure that the quality and, according to the standards, so that you have a common understanding among the instructors. That's how I see it, Prof.
Okay, thanks a lot, Siti Mariam. Senyuman yang manis in your profile. Even though I can't see your face right now in the virtual world. Okay, thank you, Siti Mariam.
Tak
I
dengar
think.
suara Dr. Mariam.
Ya,
Maybe
tadi.
unmute saja. Ya.
Nampak ceria, bersemangat, bersinar-sinar lagi ya.
Maybe you unmute Dr. Mariam. Ya, tak dengar suara.
Ya, tak dengar.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Prof. Andy.
Andy, call me Andy.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Just for the record, I am impressed by the work you do for FLC because I'm very involved in FLC for UNIMAS.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, great. I think we'll meet again probably in other forum for the FLC.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So take care. God bless. Yeah.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, coming back to this moderator. In fact, when we look at the COPA, one of the standards that they mentioned that there must be moderation. So here the question is, what kind of moderation are we looking at? There are two big responsibilities that a moderator would do. Number one, the moderator will moderate, for example, the soalan-soalan assessment. All right, whether it is rubric or this is soalan, they will moderate to ensure there is proper constructive alignment. That whatever that we set to assess is aligned to the prescribed learning outcomes. So this is the tugas of the moderator in the beginning. All right. Then at the end of the day, when you have marked whatever scripts or project papers, then the moderator will come in again. And the moderator now is to make sure that the marking are consistent and fair. This is what they call moderator. So the moderator at the beginning and the moderator at the end. Now, what Mariam has mentioned just now, Siti Mariam has mentioned just now about the course materials, right? When you have written the course materials, then you probably need a second reader to give you feedback. So that one is also another form of moderation. And usually they will call this person as a external examiner, all right, or external course assessor. There are many istilah yang diguna, pelbagai istilah, tapi tugas atau fungsi hakiki of the person is the same. They want to make sure the materials yang telah dirangka, yang telah digubal oleh the course writer or the lecturers are really according to the content of the courses. So this is where, Hafiza, you need to work with your ODL center to make sure whatever that is written will go through some form of QA process. Siapa yang akan read through the course content, siapa yang akan sign off, yang kata, okay, this material semua dah ikut jaminan quality ABCD and boleh kita upload to LMS. So these are the kind of things that you should be looking at, all right? Or rather, we should be looking at, especially when it comes to course material. Now, coming back to this, again, then number 8 is a program coordinator. Program coordinator is the same like program leader right now, ketua program. The tugas of the person is still the same. It's just that they call it program coordinator. Now, tadi ingat tak kita sebut tentang tutor yang Azhar kata dia was a tutor for OUM before? Then you have to decide now. In UNIMAS, do you want to address this person as tutor, facilitator, or instructor? Otherwise, different faculty lain kali dia guna istilah yang berbeza. Okay. Then, if UNIMAS say, I want to now offer my ODL program in Bahrain, in Japan, in Indonesia, then you probably need some office there, a little office there, which you may call it as the regional or learning center. So you got to establish that. And for the establishment of regional learning centers, you have to go through MOHC. Go into the JPT website. There's a borang on penubuhan pusat wilayah. So this is where, they will go for a site audit visit of these regional learning centers. If you're establishing it in Malaysia, they will go for it and do the proper audit visit. And after that, then they will say, okay, kamu dibenarkan, diluluskan untuk menubuhkan pusat wilayah ni. It's just like when you go under the OUM website, you akan nampak that dia mempunyai almost like 30 over regional centers all across Malaysia. Okay. Then 11 is that you got to look at your SLT. You ingat tak in your table 4, you have this SLT on independent learning and guided learning. So this is where your synchronous and asynchronous comes in. So this is where SLT has to be properly looked at. So this is the evolution of COPA ODL. It started in 2011 with the guidelines only, then dia menjadi code of practice, dan akhirnya in 2019 dia menjadi COPA, code of practice or program accreditation. And sama saja in COPA ODL, it still has that 7 areas. And this one is the circular dated 26 November 2019. You try to get this circular in the MQA website or even your registry or your chancellery. They would have this circular dated 26 November 2019. And this circular is to say from now onwards, you got to use COPA ODL. Now, the other thing is that there is another circular which you must get hold of, would be this circular. The circular that was released in 29 December 2020 that says you can now offer ODL programs even your program tak dapat full accreditation in conventional mode. Sebab dulu, when they started in 2013, they said you can offer your programs via ODL, even though you're a conventional institution, like UNIMAS is a conventional institution, you can only offer the ODL programs if that program dah mendapat full accreditation. Sekarang tidak lagi terikat kepada syarat tersebut. If you nak bentangkan satu program yang baru, you can, even though that program tak wujud dalam your conventional program. So this is where you also got to get hold of this circular, because this circular will tell you if you want to submit the documents for approval MQA 01, you must have, let's say, number one, you must have SIM for the first semester. Bukan all the semester, yeah. If the first semester ada 4 kursus, then your SIM of the 4 kursus must be ready. You must have a LMS seperti yang kita sebut tadi. You must have an ODL center. Kadang-kala in certain institution dia tak panggil ODL center, dia panggil e-learning center pun boleh. Alright, so it depends on apakah nama yang kamu beri kepada pusat ataupun jabatan yang manage all the ODL programs. This is what you want to see. Okay. Now, the next one is very, very important because we don't want to submit our programs to MQA and dia pula guna perkataan yang kesat sikit, dia tendang balik your submission. Kata, this is not an ODL program. Ambil balik submission ini. This is supposed to be a conventional program. So now my question to you is, out of so many of you here today, how do you differentiate a program is an ODL program or a program is not an ODL program? Would anyone be able to tell me here? If I give you a program, there you go, so and so, can you tell me, is this ODL program or this is conventional program? This is important because if you fail to draw this line, whatever submission you give to MQA, there will be a tendency and dia ditolak balik. Anyone?
Prof. Andy, I'm
Yes.
just going to give this a shot. Because I
Yes.
feel I need to play an active role also.
Shafina, good.
Yes.
Call me Andy, Shafina.
It's also my smart way of volunteering so that after this you won't call me lah.
Okay, Shafina.
I learned this from my students actually. I'm thinking offhand, maybe this has got to do with the 4 criteria that you started with. The 4 things that was emphasized in terms of, the delivery. And I didn't take note because I'm assuming I'll get the slide, but that's what comes to mind lah.
Okay, Shafina. Thanks, Shafina.
No worries.
Saya sebagai cikgu, I always gemar student yang come forward macam tu tau. And I will
Sama lah kita.
Yes, Shafina. And I will call this student again and again tau.
Oh, okay. Mak tu saya tak sama. That's why we differ. That's why I'm still just a senior lecturer and you're already prof.
Oh, tidak, Shafina.
Good luck, Shafina. Okay, never mind. I'll pay more attention after this now that I know that I could be called again. Thanks, Prof.
You're welcome, everybody. I am still the normal Andy, seriously. It's just the gelaran saja. Kita semua insan biasa di muka bumi ni. Anyone else that would like to chip in onto what Shafina has mentioned apart from the features of an ODL program?
Dr. Azhar mentioned in the chat box, he mentioned on online versus offline.
Okay, correct. So what Azhar Shafina has mentioned are the ciri-ciri of an ODL program. Ciri-ciri, yes, correct. But my question is, let's say I'm the desk officer receiving your submission. The desk officer must ada checklist to say, yes, this is an ODL program or this is a program yang saya akan proses di bawah ODL. No, this is not an ODL program. Saya akan proses di bawah conventional. So, what is this yardstick, pembaris yang akan diguna oleh this officer? You have to know this because otherwise, as I mentioned, very risky. You buat sampai berlarut malam for few weeks, few months, tiba-tiba dia hantar balik. Sorry, ini conventional program. You see my point here? So, I guess maybe it's good that we get this understanding right, every one of us, and you can share it with your colleagues later. I will share the slides if you don't worry, colleagues. Now, number 1, a program is an ODL program if 60%, more than 60% of the courses are offered through ODL. Remember ya, point pertama. Point kedua is this. Every course at the course level, 80% of the student learning time are delivered via ODL. So secara ringkas, I'm just trying to buat a ringkasan karangan for you. If you have a program macam ni, look at this program. A program yang ada 12 kursus, for example, is a master program, 12 kursus, right? So if 12 kursus, from the 60% of the 12 kursus, if you look at the last row here, nampak tak 60% of the 12 kursus is 7.2 kursus. So if I nak more than 60% of the 12 kursus, which means it is more than 7.2 courses, right? So bererti it is 8 kursus. So dalam erti kata lain, out of the 12 subjects kursus, your 8 courses, at least 8 courses must be conducted via ODL. And here you will say, Andy, is online. Yes. Okay. So 8 out of the 12. So when I receive your document at the desk office, I will see, oh, you have 12 kursus, your 8 is actually online. Okay, pass. You go into ODL program. But I will check another level, which is the course level. You nampak the course level tak? 80% of your SLT must be delivered via ODL. So bererti in the 8 courses, I akan zoom in into the 8 courses to see the SLT. That means the SLT must show me that 80% of the SLT is 96 hours. Nampak tak 96 hours ni? So your 96 hours is actually via ODL. So via ODL here means it can be your tutorial online. It can be your independent learning, also considered as ODL. Do you understand? Independent learning is also considered open distance learning. Ingat tak dari awal-awal tadi kita kata open means there is access, there is flexibility. Distance means there's a separation between the cikgu and the learner, right? And learning here refers to the delivery modes. So, apa-apa cara yang kita guna untuk deliver through ODL, whether it is independent learning, participation in the LMS dan sebagainya, that SLT is considered as part of the 80%. If let's say tiba-tiba there is one pusat pengajian yang kata saya nak bagi 48 hours of physical tutorial, physical on-site tutorial. So you know they are gagal in the 80% already, right? Because 48 out of 120 is almost like more than 30% already. So which means you tak akan hit at least 80% here. Clear? Any soalan?
Prof Andy?
Yes, yes.
Azhar lagi ya.
Hi Azhar, anytime.
Just nak tanya, currently kalau dekat, I think semua universiti dekat Malaysia ni, kita menggunakan kaedah full online.
Yes.
Betul?
So currently semua ODL.
Semua ODL kan?
Currently, yes.
Ya, okay. Thank you.
Masalahnya surat beranak tu, the surat kelahiran tu is not ODL. The surat kelahiran is still conventional. So when we go back to normal, then you kena hidup ikut aliran normal dah. Alright. Any question? So this is important ya. Kalau tak, you akan terima password itu balik semula. Okay, then the fungsi-fungsi of Kopa ODL, it can be a dedicated ODL institution, dual mode institution, conventional ataupun conventional programs. Maksudnya, in your conventional program, you also can have ODL courses. You ingat tak, in your conventional program, there's this blended learning approach that 60% of your courses can be conducted via ODL. You get the circular again. This is the circular on pengendalian program pengajian, the IPT. I think this circular was released in 2019. So meaning, even for your conventional programs, when you return to campus later on, you don't have to have many hours of interaction, like 42 hours. Dulu-dulu ingat tak, 1 jam credit is 3 hours of lectures or tutorials in a week. So if it's 14 weeks, you must have 42 hours of face-to-face. Tak ada lagi dah. You can olah the component of that face-to-face tutorial. Okay. Then the purpose is listed here for your PAFA maintenance audit or for your internal CQI. Now, before we move on, is there anything else that you would like to raise?
Prof, Katina here.
Hi, Katina.
So how to share, is it, do you mean a sharing of the a learning unit?
Yes, yes, please, Katina. Sharing of a learning unit.
Am I able to share here?
You should be,
Boleh.
Katina, because I've just unshared mine.
Dr. Katina, boleh buka elip tak? You have an elip tak untuk you punya CMBA tu? So semua
Ada,
benda
ada.
ada kat dalam tu kan? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe kita boleh tengok kalau boleh buka lah.
Yeah. Elip.
Okay, she's a lifesaver. Thank you, Dr. Katina. May God bless you.
Share. Are you able to see my?
Coming, yes,
Yeah,
course file,
Okay,
course file, course code.
There's I'm teaching HRM in CMBA. Sometimes I teach research methods, sometimes strategic management. So I'm sharing strategic HRM here. So should I open the module or macam mana?
Yes, yes, please.
Module.
Kalau boleh, kalau sudi.
Tak boleh. I also want to learn. So this is because our CMBA usually is only 20% yang background business. Some of them will come from engineering, from science, and then so the first class usually we try to familiarize them with the concept dulu lah. So this is the things. So for each class, I don't usually put a lot of PowerPoint because my way of doing is I prefer infographic. So when I teach, I will spend like a half an hour on this one infographic. Normally, I will put this sort of infographic. I don't tend to put much what do you call that, write up, because then I can explain through this one slide for half an hour like that. So I don't know how, if we are to do in ODL.
Dr. Katina, maybe
Yeah.
boleh share dalam bentuk elip untuk for this course. Ada boleh ke?
For ODL macam mana?
Elip.
Maksudnya buka elip, Dr. Katina.
Buka elip, share elip.
Buka elip you.
Memang I buka elip tadi and then I download this PowerPoint.
Tak nampak tadi elip tadi. Nampak
Oh,
PowerPoint.
okay.
Okay.
I will.
Okay, boleh nampak.
Okay.
This is our LMS, Prof. Andy. We call it as elip.
Oh, okay. Yang kamu guna Moodle base juga lah. Nampak macam Moodle kan.
Ya, memang Moodle.
Bau Moodle kat sini.
Should I pull down? So this is each learning unit lah.
So this is for your conventional lah, ya, Katina?
Yeah. Sometimes I will put like a video on it. So it can also be assignment also. This is if because it's online, we will just put like this to join the class. And then kalau assignment, I put like this lah. So for them to upload the assignment.
Maybe Katina, can you go back to the earlier screen? Yang ni, you go right up, Katina.
Okay.
This course is actually a HRM course, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So remember just now we were saying if the ODL Center kalau boleh, they must come up with a framework, a structure of apa yang perlu lecturers isi dalam setiap rangka in setiap course page.
Okay.
So here, for example, you start off with course information because the whole thing here is actually related to the course already, right?
Yeah.
So maybe your dear all welcome is actually a subheading as a welcome message. Not so much on course information.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm saying we have to now look at the structure. Maybe the first one is welcome message. Then this is where Katina one will keluar kat sana. That means whatever message that you have here.
Okay.
Then it is good also tunjuk your muka manis if kalau boleh tidak keberatan. No, not now, Katina, not now. I mean in sorry, not now, but in this your welcome message. You know why? When human beings look at muka, then they will connect with the person much easier.
Okay.
So kalau boleh pilihlah muka yang senyum sikit ya, jangan garang sangat.
Studio punya dia.
Tapi jangan garang sangat. Sebab sometimes bila kita dilahirkan dengan muka garang, I mean we can't help it anymore, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because you know sometimes some of us have this muka garang, the garangness is there.
Okay, I keep that in mind.
So if let's say you can actually inject humor in your welcome message. For those of you who are seeing me for the first time, my face will look very garang, but trust me, I'm not as garang as the picture will look like. You know that these are the ways that you connect to the reader, you know, that then the reader will say, oh, cikgu ni very kelakar juga ya. You know, those are the things that, because I have not spoken to the cikgu, but from this welcoming message, I will know this cikgu is actually very approachable. Because even from the words that the cikgu has written, I know it's very approachable. Okay? And try every individual lectures that you may have your own way of connecting to your learners. What is important, I think, whenever we have this welcome message, your message must touch my heart, the reader. It cannot be like and you know that the generic information that everybody would see. Okay, you can also relate your experience as a cikgu teaching this course, and you said, my purpose here is to make sure that everybody are able to acquire whatever knowledge that you think will help them in their work life dan sebagainya. Because as a subject matter expert, you will be able to link this knowledge to the working life of the adult learners, or to which perspective of their profession that this knowledge should be useful. Because your welcome message actually will set their mood right, you know, if you craft it right. Tapi jangan tulis sampai bermuka-muka surat of welcome message ya. Because orang yang baca pun nanti akan hilang dalam hutan belukar tu nanti. Okay, so it must be short, appealing, touching my heart. To touch my heart, you must write with your heart. You would know what I'm trying to say. It's just like when you read somebody, when you listen to the lecture of somebody, you will know whether this person is teaching with his heart or this person is just like a robot doing the delivery.
Pantun can Prof?
Pantun, yes,
Prof
pantun can.
Zuraini ada cakap benda ni in our last ODL juga from USM. I think
Okay.
it's You all are very consistent in that message, like, you know, making that ice breaking, that creating that impression, that storytelling mode.
Yeah, correct. Yes, yes.
It's the doing it is challenging lah.
Yep, yep, yep. Maybe put ourselves in their shoes.
Yeah,
Like
there's
if you
no
want,
way,
mm,
no other way. I'm afraid there is no other way. We have to go
correct.
back in time, you know, especially
Uh-huh.
we all in the 5 series kan. We
Yeah.
have to go back in time.
I faham sebab saya pun 5 series dah.
So you are inspiring lah. Dr. Katina betul tak? Kita tengok 5 minit ni kita macam dapat hope sikit lah.
Alhamdulillah. Semoga diberkati semua ya. So kalau boleh bubuhlah muka your picture yang not to like the very serious type and not to also yang terlalu informal sampai pakai pijama di rumah tunjuk cara memasak, jangan juga ya.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you have done this welcome message, then you have to put in, remember just now the consultation hours.
Okay. Consultation hours.
You have to put that down so that they know when to approach you. Then after that, you only go into your proper unit. So if your strategic HRM is your first unit, then you must have a structure here. You see that every structure that we are seeing here is just us populating with your slides of every module, right?
Yeah.
So in ODL it's slightly different. Remember the sim that we mentioned just now? You
Yeah.
got to like pecahkan the sim now into the different unit masuk dalam sini. So if your strategic HRM, you will say this is chapter 1 or unit 1. So they will understand these are unit yang keberapa ke, macam mana ke, things like that, right? So you have to put it here. Now, before that, just now, remember we talked about consultation hours. Then after that, you may also want to put the assessment strategies, the assessment methods, or the types of assessment yang you ada kat dalam kursus ini. For example, how many percent would be coursework, whether it's case study ke, final exam ke. That means your assessment related info.
So we don't just rely on the syllabus lah. Like just now I put everything in here, but for ODL you have to spell it out.
Yes, you have to spell it out. Yeah. So that I will know, when as a student, I will know whenever I go into the course page here, I will know where to find the assessment related benda or assignments. Okay. So I will know berapa keperatusan agihan between coursework and final exam. And I will also know when is the deadline for submission, kan, deadline of the release of the assignment results. You must make known to the learners right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Correct? So this is like the assignment thing. Then the next one is, you remember in the MQA04, there's a table under item 10 where they look at the number of hours that the student must spend for each topic, the independent learning, the tutorial, that section of the table must come in here. That means you will say this is your study schedule, correct?
Yeah.
So that means your study schedule, your personal study schedule. So you bubuh lah kat sana, so they will know pandai-pandai agihkan masa. Then the next one is your tutorial classes, your tutorial class schedule. So which means before you even go into the proper content of your strategic HRM, you have all this information di atas, your welcome message, your consultation hours, apa lagi kita kata, your assessment, right? Your study schedule, your tutorial schedule. So benda-benda itu are there. So whenever I log in, I know where to go for that information. So everyone would have the same structure. So jangan like for example, Katina, your types of assignments semua ke atas, tiba-tiba another lecturer punya terselindung di dalam dalam chapters tersebut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So this is where we need to look at. Then we go into the strategic HRM. You remember the strategic HRM, let's say it's your first chapter, then you must move. This is bab pertama, chapter 1 or unit 1. So you have to streamline the usage of this. Either you call it unit, module, chapter, or purpose. You all have to decide. Okay, the ODL center
You
must
need to label it lah. Label it.
So the ODL center must actually streamline this. Are you going to call it chapter? Are you going to call it unit? For example, if let's say Katina, your strategic HRM is chapter 1, you're going to put it as chapter 1, semicolon, strategic HRM. But for Andy, I'm going to call it unit 1, strategic HRM. You see the confusing part that students will now see two different terminologies being used. So this is where I do not know, Hafiza, maybe streamline from dari atas down to the faculty, across the faculty juga. So here, once you go into the strategic HRM, before you go into the strategic HRM, you must also have an overview of the course, right? So you have to write, in this course, you will be learning so and so. It's overview of the course. And this course have 10 units. Then barulah you masuk CLO of the course. That means you have overview, you have course learning outcome of the course. Then you slowly go into your chapter 1. You see my point? So when I baca, I would be very structured in my thoughts really, Katina. And when you write that overview, Katina, you cannot pull out from your conventional text the whole same para, you must craft it like a conversational writing style. Like for example, in this course, you will learn macam tu. You guna frasa-frasa perkataan ni. You will learn blah, 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 blah. At the end of the course, these are the learning outcomes that you are expected to achieve. If you're talking about the course learning outcome, the way you write. So when we write our course material sim dengan kata ganti nama you di sini, it's like somebody is talking to you, When you read, it's like it's a two-way. I baca and I know somebody is talking to me, though it's not real person there, but I know it's a teacher there talking to me. So whatever we are teaching in class, you just imagine when you stand in front of the classrooms or when you are in front of the monitor right now, you're discussing with the students. So you have to bring this whole thing into the course material. It's just that when you write it, you don't get a response from the pelajar, but you are guiding them through that way. All right? So this is where, sorry,
first
Katina.
person, you use first person punya this one.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Correct. So let's say for this para, you will say, let's say for example, this para, you will be now learning ABCD. All right. Then the second para that you say, after you have acquired this knowledge, it is time for you to look at the following components. And under this component, you are expected to learn blah, 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 blah. So this is where you masuklah penerangan yang ada. That means off and on, you try to use this kata ganti nama theory of that you, or learner is expected to understand this. You got to link it. I'm not saying every sentence you must have you, tidak. Just occasionally when I read, I know somebody is there guiding me. Okay? All right. Now, just now you have a lot of slides. Your slides are very important. Yes, your slides are very important because slides is like a mind map sometimes, right? So when you write a unit, let's say your strategic HRM, you have a slide. then you may have a very short note below that slide. Kata, from the graphical representation above, we are expected to know. You are expected to know A, B, C, D macam tu. Okay? And because of the technology that we have, sometimes you will say, congratulations, you have come up to this stage, meaning you have learned this, and now it's time for you to watch this video. And after watching this video, you're supposed to attempt the questions below, the activities. So that means you bubola, what have you learned from this video? What was the marketing strategy? What was the strategic? Apa-apa yang disebut dalam tu. Then your answers should be provided in the same juga. Because remember, you cannot like bubo those questions, activities there, and student tak tahu what is the answer. So the answer can be at the end of your chapter. It doesn't mean that it has to be there directly, because if it's there directly, they can actually look at it. Put it at the end of the chapter. The answers to your self-activities, to your quizzes dan sebagainya.
You
All right?
mean they can access it?
Yes, they can access it. Yes.
Even before the attempt?
Yes.
Ah.
So the whatever activities that you have in the self-instructional material is not a summative assessment. It means it's not you giving marker. It's for you to make sure you are pacing the learning of the students, and you want to make sure this stage 1, the learner dah belajar ni. Dah capai pembelajaran ini. Stage 2 dia dah capai pembelajaran ini. Stage 3 dia dah capai pembelajaran itu. That is the purpose of the self-activity, self-test. Okay. Then banyak. That's why banyak. But once you have done that, I can tell you is macam di fingertips kamu dah Katina. It's very simple. It's just ala bisa tegar biasa saja. Huh? All right. So go by those sequence. So that means your chapter 1 macam tu. Chapter 2 pun sama pattern dia. Pattern dia sama. So if you scroll down, Katina, if you may scroll down, you see a 1, 2, 3. Job analysis is the third one, right? Go down lagi. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11. You have 11 big chapters here.
Yeah.
So this is where tadi ingat tak? I reminded Hafiza saying that you must make sure you streamline all this. Jangan 1, 11, 1, 10, 1 yang berbeza. Beza sangat. There must be a range yang closing the gap here. What I can see is you're using module here. You see or not? You're using module 9. So whether the others are also using module 9. Okay. Then you may also want to create forum for every chapter. You bubuh satu forum, discussion forum. Because kalau macam itu easy for you to track, isn't it? Whatever in that forum is actually discussion on that chapter. But if you start to guna a general forum for the whole courses, then it's difficult.
Specific forum.
Yes. So either you have a generic forum or a course-specific forum. That means specific to that particular module or unit. I think easier for you to manage macam itu.
Okay.
Any more question?
It's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
I think I have to open up the video again and see, you know.
You can, Katina. I'm sure it's something, because it's something new probably.
Yeah.
That's why you will take time to digest. But once you dah hadam, dia dah assimilate to, boy, you fly like a rocket.
Yeah, because when I'm doing online, I prefer not to put too much on the e-lip because then the student will rely on the e-lip. So like I tend not to put forum because I want them to discuss during class. And then but for ODL, I think that will be different. So that kita have to
Yeah,
put, yeah.
because your interaction with them is very minimal.
Yeah, even like video, I don't put it here because then I don't know whether they watch it or not. So I tend to play it with the dalam synchronized class. So that is also one thing I have to take into account lah with ODL.
Yeah, correct. But in ODL, another thing that we need to do is that before we do the tutorials, right? Because we hardly meet them.
Yeah.
So you have to engage with the learner. So meaning, for example, if tomorrow is the tutorial class, let's say tomorrow is a tutorial class, Thursday is a tutorial class, you must have pre-activities, you must have the activities during the day, and you must have post follow-up. You must cover this range of period, That means this range is actually covered in your LMS. For example, let's say tomorrow is your tutorial. Then probably a few days before tomorrow, you will already put something in the LMS forum saying, hi guys, because you want to engage them. Just to remind you, in the next 3 days, we are going to have our first tutorial in your forum. You have to put it like this. We are going to have a first tutorial classes. And these tutorial classes, I would expect you to read these articles, these journals, or this video. Okay?
Preparation,
So preparation. And for that, you can also refer to your SIM, which is your course learning materials, Unit 1, Chapter 1, apa-apa yang kat sana. You draw them back there. Okay? Then after that, 2 days before the tutorial again, that means writing up before the tutorial, then you can call out names, because in ODL, if you're able to connect to the learners by names, they will be better. They will be better recognized. They will feel that they are part of you. Okay? So you will say probably, so-and-so Katina, what do you think of this? That means you invoke Katina to give comments. Okay? Then once Katina dah bagi comment, then you call out another person. Katina, yes, spot on. Then you add on your comment juga. Then let us now look at what Azaha would say about this. So that means you tarik mereka masuk tau. It means you kena initiate the interest to learn in the forum. That means before they come for your tutorial, you dah initiate the interest among them dah. So when they come for your tutorial, they akan have that semangat to learn more. Wherever we go, we always want to make sure the pengajar mesti pengajar yang knowledgeable. Once they can detect that, they will respect you. You earn their respect. Once you earn their respect, and this is where you will see they will participate. Kan, selalu it's always like that. You and me will be the same, Katina. If you confronted somebody who doesn't know his or her areas, then you will say, oh, buat apa saya nak susah-susah pergi kepada orang yang tak ada kemahiran or that knowledge itself that I'm seeking for, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So the pre, the during, and the post. Your post is very important, Kalau tak, they will just say, oh, habis dah. The post is like, I'm happy to see all of you in class yesterday. All right? And you probably summarize in a post for them. In a nutshell, we are able to cover this, and I hope you will continue with your other chapters for your next tutorial. Macam ni, right? And you follow up also in the post. learners, students, jangan lupa kena buat self-activity tersebut sebab saya akan masuk ke dalam forum ini to discuss with you on ABCD. Okay, then once in a while you tarik the past year question into your forum. Okay, you know that after every tutorial you tarik a past year question in. Now, since you already gone through the first tutorial, let me share some past year questions related to this chapter. Okay, so when you bubur jam tu, when they look at the word past year questions, mata will terbeliak. It's always human nature, right? And also sometimes before the pre-tutorial, you can also alert them on the assignments. Because some tutorials you have assignments going in, right? You alert them on the assignment. Now for this assignment, you have to prepare benda-benda macam ni, but don't worry, you come to the class, I will deliberate more on that.
Okay.
You stimulate the interest of the learner. It's all about engagement.
So every the tutorial should be macam after each module lah, huh?
Yes. But if let's say you have 11 modules study kan, Katina, then you have to decide if you have 3 tutorials, how many modules would you allocate for the first tutorial, second tutorial, third tutorial? That means right from the beginning, you remember tadi the study schedule too? Where you show the tutorial schedule, you must actually tell them for tutorial 1 is module 1 to 3. Tutorial 2, module 4 to 6. You get what I'm saying? Otherwise, when I come to tutorials, I will lose sight. I don't know which module you're going through. For conventional, I will know because maybe you have 14 classes. So if you have 14 chapters, I know every class you discuss one chapter. Probably that is the arrangement.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of good ideas I can apply.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, every one of you have to start doing this. Who is actually managing the ODL center here?
Dr. Shafina.
Oh.
No. I think it was taking me. I'm the coordinator for FEB, but I think suffice to say, Dr. Hafiza,
Okay,
kan?
let me explain. Yeah,
Okay,
currently, Dr. Shafina, kesian Dr. Shafina kena jawab.
Yeah.
So, currently, since ODL is new to UNIMAS, we don't have the special ODL center. So for now, ODL is under e-learning center, which we call as CAM, Center of Applied Learning and Multimedia. So for now, that is the available for. I can say it's lebih sesuai lah ODL dihandle oleh e-learning center dahulu.
Yeah.
Not so sure for 2 or 3 more years, maybe akan ada specifically untuk ODL center. Yeah.
Okay, boleh juga. So when you submit your document, you kata yang all ODL related matters will be coordinated through this center.
Okay.
Because they want to see there is a unit, there is a jabatan and do the coordination. That is what they want to see.
Hi, Prof. Andy.
Hi.
I'm Terry. I'm also from CAM together with Dr. Hafiza. We are starting out this ODL initiative for UNIMAS, but we're not sure whether we're going to have a specific center handling this or all the ODL programs or depending how our first 2 program perform. And then so far we are also beginning to train our own staff lecturers, and we also appoint a representative from each faculty as the ODL coordinator to represent to assist each faculty in terms of preparing SIM, ODL, concept of ODL. So far we actually preparing for that. Okay, we have appointed each representative from each faculty as ODL coordinators, which is also there are also MOOC coordinators. So because both ODL and MOOC have this, the courses delivered through MOOC or ODL are quite similar in terms of concept. So maybe the skills can be transferable in both ways. So yeah, we're trying to develop our own ODL experts in our faculty, in our UNIMAS. So we hope in the future there will be a center asked for ODL in order to be able to manage the progress more effectively lah. But at the moment, so far, we CAM is currently coordinating for now.
So which means the responsibility will be very heavy for CAM to steer.
Yes.
CAM has to champion this responsibility for now.
Yeah.
So if CAM is championing this responsibility, I think there are two major things that CAMs have to look at. Number one is create a process, development, QA process for the development of SIM. You must have a proper QA process. For example, you must create a course blueprint before the whole write-up begins. So which means every faculty, every staff that is rolling out a ODL program, every course must have a course blueprint. So the course blueprint is just like the word itself, blueprint, will tell you the content of the course in brief, assessment of the course, resources yang perlu diagihkan kepada course tersebut. You know, everything related to the course must be there. Assessment, tutorial classes, berapa kali, assignment, what kind of assignments are there, the study schedule, everything will be in the course blueprint. All right, so once the lecturer has a course blueprint, appointment of the course writer. Who is going to be the course writer? Is it internal or external? So once you have appointed, then they will start writing. So when they start writing, there must be a template, as we mentioned just now. Otherwise, you see what Katina has mentioned. At this point of time, they only have slides for the conventional learners. And these slides Katina is using as a framework when she goes into the conventional classes. She can use these slides to trigger a lot of teaching learning activities. This is when Katina goes into the conventional classes, but in the ODL setup, the bulk of the learning actually will be on the student, correct, Terry? So if it's on the learning, then you must have a framework for the faculty members to see how to write those courses. So maybe you will need to look at training the faculty members to write SIM. I would think that is a good idea. Look at training the faculty in writing SIM. That means those who are identified for an ODL program, conduct a one-day training for them to start writing SIM. So once they get the hang of it, Terry, then the mood is going to be there. Otherwise, they are groping in the dark for now. Some actually groping in the dark because they don't know what exactly is in the SIM. How different the SIM would be from my original slides.
Yeah, I agree with Prof. Andy because when I draft my PowerPoint, I make it so the content is not obvious. When you do infographic, you only have like the main idea, but how to go about it, they have to ask. Because if we put it so obvious, then they just can read the text. Correct. So ODL, they cannot do that.
They can't do that because you're not there like every day in the campus for them to ask you in the class. Their interaction with us is very minimal only, probably 3 times.
That's what we need to learn.
Because a few weeks ago we had a webinar or workshop lah by Prof. Zoraini Abbas. We had that she taught us
how to write
how to write SIM, and what she mentioned that the one that she highlighted is to make sure it's conversational.
Yeah.
So that is friendly and approachable for students to our learners to gain the knowledge from the SIM.
I think it's that one is more like class based. It's not hands on. I think the best way to do like this is if we just look at Bankel, and then we actually do ours.
At least a unit or a module kan. Then present it bersama-sama.
Yes.
It has to be a hands-on.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry.
This what we planned for today lah. But unfortunately, the two participants supposed to present were not available. So yeah. But thank you lah, Dr. Katina, for
Sorry
able to show something lah to get some feedback from Prof. And
But I learned a lot from my
you will learn a lot.
where to add in. Thank you lah, Prof.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Prof.
Prof, I have a question, Prof. Sorry, I think maybe this is actually regarding the template or the course outline, actually, because I'm still confused on how to develop the course outline, or what we call it as course plan, or maybe course plan for this ODL, because here ODL, how many hours actually? Because I'm still confused. How many hours should we be having online class? How many hours should we be having alternative? This is something that, still confusing, because right now we have to start already. I was actually, I got some ideas that we need to start developing our course outline, but actually when we develop the course outline, how many hours should we allocate for online, if there should be any for ODL, or how many hours should we go for option O, which is options,
tutorial,
tutorial, something like that. So I'm still quite confused actually for ODL. This is actually goes back to the course outline. I believe this should go to the course outline. So what do you think, Prof?
Okay, no reason. I think what Andy would tell you is that the institution must decide, as I mentioned just now, no reason, whether you want to have 3 tutorials in a semester and each tutorial would be 2 hours or 1.5 or 3 hours. Even if you have 3 hours in one shot, you must have a break in between, because I don't think the students can tahan the 3 hours tutorial continuously for 3 hours. So here, I think the first thing we need to decide, if we were to ask Andy again, is have at least sekurang-kurangnya 2 tutorial, one in the beginning and one at the end of the semester. And if you think that you have the resources, then you have 3 tutorials. One beginning, one middle, one at the end of the semester. So once you've decided 3 times of tutorials, then you decide on the number of hours. I think 2 hours per session is good enough. So if 2 hours, you have decided for 2 hours, then this is where, remember, we spoke with Katina just now, that the first tutorial, what is the coverage of the modules or the unit? Is it module 1 to 3, module 1 to 4, module 1 to 5? You have to decide. Then your question on to how many hours would be in the online platform. Now, the reason you remember just now, we talked about the table 4. In the table 4, you have independent learning. Then you have your guided learning. So this is where it is about synchronous and asynchronous. The synchronous is real time. That means you have somebody there real time working together with you. So that will be your tutorial. That is synchronous. Another synchronous that can happen in your LMS is that during the consultation hours, right, you can appear on the LMS real time and people can come in and chit chat with you in the forum. That is another way. That is another way for you to do the real-time synchronous. Otherwise, everything will be asynchronous ready, which means I will leave it to you to read the SIM, to view the videos, to do the exercises all on your own, but I will make sure I have proper feedback for you. Every materials that I provide to you would be guided, meaning there will be a written SIM, conversational writing style, like what Katina showed just now. Remember all the slides. Every slide yang dia tunjuk kena ada sedikit penerangan, because otherwise people cannot connect. And the penerangan doesn't mean that it has to be the pages penerangan. It can be penerangan of that the core elements. Then you can draw them to look at videos or even course materials from other institution abroad. Kita pernah dengar open educational resources, right? So guna open educational resources yang tak perlu kita bayar, but only ask us to code the Creative Commons license. CC by NA, CC by SA, semua tu. Okay, so again, coming back to your original question, how much hours? The hours will be going back to, remember tadi there was a slide that I showed, what is an ODL program criteria? 60% of the courses must be ODL, and every course in an ODL, 80% must be conducted through ODL, correct? So this is where you fall back on your table 4. Your table 4 is actually the mantra for you to run an ODL course.
Should I stop sharing, Prof? So you can this one your slide back?
Oh, boleh, Katina.
Okay.
All right. So this is something that you have to decide, because if we don't decide that part, then susah. And this is why I kept on going after Hafiza or Nano Terry, that the ODL center, or rather the e-learning center, the CALM there, should have a policy for that. All right. The reason, any question from you? Any kemushkilan lagi tak?
Kemushkilan. Okay, I think it's quite good enough for. I think maybe quite susah sikit mau buat this
Okay.
table 4, because agak confused, because the different this one. Yeah, I do not know if you have your, maybe you can share your own USM ODL, Prof, the table 4, something like that, or the course plan or course outline, maybe something like that. I know already, but it seems like to develop this ODL type
example.
Okay, maybe can somebody pull out the table 4, then we discuss on that table 4.
Table 4.
Table 4. Can one of you pull out the table 4? But in the meantime, I'll run through this. Then I'll guide you with the table 4 and tell you what. Use the MQA 01 or 02 document, the Excel file. Pull out that file from the MQA website. I think you have that table 4.
Prof. Andy, there's one more question in the chat box from Dr. Sharon. What if students prefer to use WhatsApp group ataupun Telegram for asking questions instead of using forum?
Okay, you have to be very careful, because WhatsApp and Telegram and other social media platform will speed up communication. Yes, it will speed up communication interaction, but you will lose whatever that you need to harvest the data lain kali. So every time when you use all that, you just tell them, let us discuss in the forum there. So which means this is where I think the LMS yang Elite to that you design there must be a mobile app. You have to create a mobile app for that. That means it's mobile enabled. So when it's mobile enabled, I can easily go in and just discuss in the forum, isn't it? Kalau tak, I have to log into the website through the mobile, then it's difficult.
Saya dah jumpa table 4. Nak saya share tak?
Boleh.
Boleh.
Azhar ke?
Ya.
Azhar, before you share, You see the PowerPoint yang saya share di sini tak? Each study unit.
Ya, dah.
Yang tadi Katina, remember your module 1, let's say your module 1, these are the things that should be in every module.
Okay.
The standard one. That means it goes right up to this, to the unit summary.
Unit summary number 6.
Prof, saya Mahani ada soalan berkaitan dengan study unit structure. Let's say we have, you asked us just now, you advised us to come up with a picture kan, and then say hi, hello. Boleh tak kita buat video pengenalan?
Oh, lagi bagus.
Boleh sama?
Boleh.
Thank you.
But kalau buat video pengenalan, make sure the quality of the video is bagus ya.
Okay.
That means there's almost like a there's a standard format or quality that you want the student to know that the video is of high quality macam tu saja.
Okay, all right. And then let's say for example to break the ice, because sometimes especially during online, what I did was kita buat satu macam Padlet. Dekat situ I start with my introduction about myself, just a little bit.
Yes.
Diorang pun letak dia gambar diorang.
Oh, bagus.
What they are doing. Boleh macam tu Prof, at least
boleh.
break the ice.
Yes.
Okay, alright.
Ini idea yang kreatif.
Thank you, Prof.
Ya, sama.
Padlet ya, Ayung?
Yeah, Padlet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sama.
So how about now?
Yes.
Okay.
Page 1 of the summary of course information template.
So sekarang kita pergi ke page 1. Yes, that's it. Dan form. Okay, this is the form yang selalu can say most of the details program coordinator selalu isi this one.
Ya, betul.
Coordinator. Okay, so let's go for
item 10 is it? Item 10 kot kalau tak silap saya.
Yes, this one.
Yeah.
SLT, student learning time.
Correct. So here tadi Nurizan and Katina and colleagues, you nampak tak dia punya learning and teaching activities? Dia bahagi kepada F to F and non F to F. Alright. Yeah. So let's say you have your unit module 1 course content di sebelah paling kanan tu module 1. Then you tie to the CLO seperti biasa. Then this is where you nampak tak whether you are going to have a physical or online mediated, which is your whether it's Zoom ke, Webex ke, MS Teams ke dan sebagainya. And usually when you have this, most of your angka will fall under tutorial, the tutorial column. You see tutorial column? They will fall there. So which means, let's say you bubur 2 here. Hafiza, just bubur 2 here. And you remember just now the 80% of the SLT. So let's say you take 80%, yeah? So 80% of that 120 just now is 96, isn't it? 80% of 120 is 96. So what is remaining is 120 minus 96 is 24. That means the maximum number of hours that you can give for this tutorial is 24 hours. That means under the physical punya, let's say physical, right? Under this physical, you can easy in the column of tutorial, maximum 24. So it's up to you to distribute this 24. Yeah? I'm not asking you to use all the 24. When you use up 24 hours out of the 120, that means you're using up 20%. Right? Because when it is 20%, it means you still 20% physical. That means not online. You are fulfilling the minimum tadi. Ingat tak tadi there was one slide yang saya tunjuk at least 80% must be ODL if you do it through an ODL course. So this is one point that you have to remember. Now, even if you don't have the physical one, it is fine. Because tadi kita kata maximum 24 hours, right? That means if I don't want to go for the maximum, my minimum is actually 0, right? My minimum of the tutorial is 0. That means in your physical column, no angka appearing. You get what I'm saying? Then in your online, then you only have, remember Hafizah just now we say 3 tutorials, then you go into whichever chapter you nak, you bubuh the dua. Let's say in number 5, you put another dua. Then in number 9, you put another dua. Okay, that's it. So that means in that semester, you only have 6 hours of tutorial. The rest, if you go further up, the rest is where you're going to put it under the dalam item 10 ni. The rest is still under the non-face-to-face. So the non-face-to-face is up to you to bubuh. Okay, Fiza, I want you to try this, yeah. Let's say number 1, the row 1, 2. Fiza bubuh ABC. Then turun kat bawah, DEF. Then G kat bawah, book G. Then turun lagi, I. Then K. Okay, macam tu. Now, all this is linked to your CLO. So we just anggap the module has, the course has 7 modules, yeah. And now, Fiza, just randomly masuk your CLO. Let's say you have 3 CLOs in the program. Okay, settle, right? Now, Fiza, I need you to masukkan the hours of F to F2, non-F to F, randomly. But this row, non-F to F, dengan the technology tadi, the 6 hours one, they have to add up to become 120.
Let me increase the number.
Contoh, I'm just showing you one contoh how to work around this. Maybe you can put 20 hours up there, up at the non-F to F2, maybe put 20 hours. I think it's almost already there. Oh, you're over by 26. Yep, 120, you see? Okay, so this one, only the lecturer will know agak-agak the masa yang diagihkan kepada ABC, 20. You know how you can agak-agak? You agak-agak based on your CLO. You see, if you look at this, your CLO1, how many hours are you spending for your CLO1? Let us calculate this. Can someone calculate? You don't have to scroll down already. I think everybody, CLO1, how many hours are you spending? 2 plus 20 will be 42. Then there's another CLO1 at row 7 and 8. 5. So 10. So 52 hours for CLO1, right? So maybe you catat there dulu, 52 hours for CLO1. CLO2, how many hours? Hafiza?
10, 10, 20, and then another 20 plus 2, 42.
42, okay.
Then for CLO3, we have 22 plus 4, 26, and that's it.
So when you total, is it 120?
So CLO1 is 52, plus with CLO2, 42, and plus 26, yes, 120 credits.
Okay,
120.
now, now you have to go back to your assessment tadi. Where is the part yang ada assessment? Segregation of your CLO to assessment tu. Nampak tak?
Continuous assessment.
So this is where you ingat tak when you assess, you look at constructive alignment. Your percentage yang kamu bagi untuk, let's say, CLO1, CLO2, this is where you have to go back to your hours that you allocated just now. You get what I'm trying to relate here or not, Hafiza and colleagues? If let's say you are giving a lot of percentage for your assignment, and your assignment is actually assessing CLO1, that means it matches with the student learning time yang kamu bagi di atas.
Okay. Right, so CLO1 should have 43%. That's 42 out of 120 hours. It's almost 43%. And then for CLO2 should be 35% for the assessment. And for CLO3, the least one, 22%.
So maybe you say for your final exam, you allocate 20% of weightage for your CLO3. So you see or not, everything linked together now. Whatever in your assessment yang kamu agihkan would also correspond to the student learning time yang you agihkan in your tadi yang perkara 10 tersebut. Soalan, any soalan tadi? Norizan, go further up. Norizan, any question from you, Norizan?
So far clear, Prof. So far, what I'm concerned with the course outline is on the student learning hours. Do you think any other more difference between the conventional course outline compared to the ODL course outline, Prof?
Okay, the conventional one, do you see Hafiza tadi circle kat physical tu? You will see many hours appearing in the physical. Dia mungkin ada lecture, tutorial, practical, group study. Dia akan muncul banyak kat sini, conventional punya. That is the difference, Norizan. Yang ODL punya dia banyak muncul di column NF to F, non-face-to-face. Dia banyak muncul kat sana.
Okay, so normally it's on the student learning outcome lah, Prof. Student learning time lah. The difference between conventional and ODL.
Yes.
Others are normally just the same lah, about the same. Other components in the table 4. All right.
So the minimum ada minimum ke?
Yang tadi katakan if ODL, their minimum must be 80% ODL.
80%. Okay.
Minimum 80%. Ingat tak tadi first kita buat tu yang kita kata if you want to bubur the physical punya angka-angka dalam physical column tu, it must not exceed 24 out of that 120. Because if you don't exceed 24, you still fulfill the minimum of 80%.
Prof.
Ya.
Pertanyaan based on yang dekat screen ni kan, maksudnya perjumpaan face to face tak ada lah kan untuk tutorial?
Ada. Yang tadi ni Nana tengok tak?
Online.
Tapi secara online.
I see. So
secara online.
Okay. So maksudnya not necessarily dia memang face to face pergi dekat kelas macam tu lah.
Tak perlu physical class, tapi persada maya.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
As long
welcome.
as synchronized lah.
Synchronized, yes. These are synchronized.
One more, Prof. Sorry, one question. Yang forum tadi, every class have its forum, its own forum. That forum is, I was thinking it was more like synchronous. So normally what you did, it was asynchronous, the forum that you suggested just now, after each class, after each learning units or module.
Okay, so yang itu you decide whether you want to have definitely most of the time would be asynchronous, most of the time.
Okay.
Kecuali you want to schedule saying, I would like to discuss this with you, then dia menjadi synchronous. So if dia menjadi synchronous, then it will fall under the O. Hafiza, it will fall under here.
Forum.
Yeah, this is where you see or not what Hafiza is doing now.
Yeah, clear. Yes. All right. Clear. Thank you, Prof.
Sama.
Okay, do we have more
Prof.
questions?
Andy, I have a question. Dengar ke?
Dengar. Sorry.
My mic went the other way. Okay. For the non face-to-face asynchronous yang kita testing tadi, yang kita terpaksa letak. So there is no range, no minimum or maximum. Dia cuma overall tu the 80-20% tu kita kena jagalah. But individually, micro level, it doesn't matter. But it has to be justified matching with the CLO, right?
Correct.
All right. Okay.
So dia tak ada like any yardstick kata your chapter 1 must be 20 hours, 29 hours, tak ada.
So basically it should be within reasonable limits lah. Don't make it look so like what we have to do just now lah. So unbelievable, like 20 and 5 and stuff like that lah. Okay.
But this one you have to tie back to your assessment lah. Kan, Shafina, because your assessment itself is tying back to your CLO ma, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what we are doing for even our current existing UG program. So it shouldn't be something completely new to us. It's just that we are getting used to this face-to-face antara physical dengan online, after this COVID thing. So we're still like, when we say ODL, we have to constantly remember there is no physical. There's only face-to-face, which is synchronous. Okay. All right. I just wanted to know in case there is some trap when the documents reach your level there, some things there that you don't tell us, you expect us to read between the lines.
Dahsyat lah sampai ada perangkap kat sana.
Kena jaga-jaga Prof sekarang ni, hidup biasa ada perangkap.
Tak apa, doakan yang terbaik selalu.
Yes. Amin.
Amin, yes.
Prof. Andy.
Yes,
Prof. Andy.
Terry.
I just now the example for topic 2, the under the O, which is the discussion. Okay, so for example, the activity will be like for that topic there will be one session. All of my students will be joining me on ELIP, and we all do live discussion using forum. Using the ELIP discussion forum too. Then it will satisfy that 1 hour others.
Yes, betul.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Right, do we have more questions?
Yeah, any more questions here?
Hopefully it's clear. Masing-masing dah ni boleh buat tambah tolak. This is more to congak. Tambah tolak.
Congak.
Nama tak perkataan congak.
Congak.
Yes, tambah tolak until we get the 120 credit hours or maybe 80 credit hours. 90 credit hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me double check again in the chat box. So there's no question. Okay, let me unshare first. Prof Andy, since you mentioned about the template kan, from our e-learning center to at least the standardized template. So
Right.
actually we propose, actually we are planning to do that as well. We are planning to do using a MOOC template as well.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe I can share you and all the participants what we need to have in our e-lib nanti eh. Yeah, let me share you the screen first. Okay, so just an overall. Oops, sekejap eh.
external site.
Yeah, this is actually when I want to open the table 4 tadi.
Oh.
All right, so here is one of the example from our MOOC using open learning punya platform.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, we will develop. It's not we develop. For e-lib nanti memang akan ada one standardized untuk ODL program nanti. So as overall, macam ni salah satu contohnya, we will have like at least an introduction. What are your process nanti? So this is example for the Faculty of Medical about improving clinical reasoning. So actually this banner pun actually our e-learning unit tolong buat
Develop,
at least because we need to have a UNIMAS, maybe something similar with the ODL. We have UNIMAS logo, and then this is for UNIMAS MOOC logo. Maybe we will have another logo for ODL, UNIMAS ODL. Yeah. So and then after we have this is what been mentioned by Dr. mentioned tadi about the video. Okay, this is like introduction video, promo video, like less than 3 minutes video.
Yeah,
Tentang as overall of the course. Yes, what is subunits and who is the instructors. Itulah. And then the course synopsis as well, and mentioned by Prof Andy as well. Maybe in introduction, tapi kat sini kalau ODL maybe need to change the learners kepada you lah, you be able to something like more human touch sikit. So like conversation punya lah. And then the rest is okay, as been mentioned Prof Andy juga, maybe boleh introduce they introduce the deputy dean and the dean as well, but the course instructor nampak muka sikit, the background sikit of the instructors, Prof Chew here, our facilitators juga. So something similar the template for the ODL juga nantilah.
Semua muka-muka yang mengancam.
Something like Prof Andy mentioned tadi, so maybe kita akan lebih memperbaiki lagi on how to do this using this template, MOOC template into our e-lib punya platform lah. So as mentioned by learning activities juga, Prof Andy mentioned are we using, kena standardize juga, are we using unit or lesson or module, nanti akan dibincangkan lagi lah.
Okay.
So as we mentioned lagi, what is the introduction, overview for each topic ataupun introduction for each topic, and for each topic ada objektif masing-masing, and then we will have several of video ataupun apa-apa content, and then there's an quiz time or activity. So maybe Prof Andy mention memang dah ada template in each topic, kena ada content, kena ada activities, and kena ada assessment sedikit, or just a quick quiz, something like that to assess. So that is overall for the MOOC template for UNIMAS currently lah. So maybe boleh diadaptasi.
Boleh, I think.
Using the ODL. So is it okay, Prof Andy? What is your suggestion?
Definitely boleh.
Okay, alright. Let me stop sharing. So we already almost at 1 o'clock. Yeah, time goes very fast.
Yes.
So yeah, any more? Let me. Okay, there's one question from Dr. Sharon. harvesting the data from student forums. Do you mean that all this will go into a sort of frequently asked questions database, which can be shared with future students?
You're talking about the online help desk, is it? Or
Forums, the student forums that earlier we mentioned about the Telegram and WhatsApp. So it's better to have it in the in our LMS because we need the
okay,
data.
the first thing is when auditor comes to your institution to audit your program, then they say, show me the X number of hours you allocated for the non-face-to-face learning. So this is where I can go to my LMS. At the back end of the LMS Moodle, I think they will be able to tell you the login and logout time of the students. So roughly, you will be able to gauge whether the number of hours that you allocated for the non-face-to-face is actually accounted for in your LMS. Number one here. Because if you do it in your WhatsApp, in your Telegram, I don't think you can show me that, right? I don't think you can pull out those information that show me that you, unless I want to scroll out your message, the 1,000 message that will probably come on board after 1 or 2 semesters. And it will disappear, isn't it? It will disappear. It's like whole string of messages. So it's impossible for you to track. So that is why LMS will be able to tell the examiner, the auditors, yes, what I've allocated is minimum. But what you see here from the data I pull out is more than the minimum.
Prof, can I share something?
Yes, yes.
In our LMS, in ELIP, we have this what we call lesson function. Dalam lesson function tu, if we craft properly, we can see whether the student actually view all the materials, activities that we have for them. Macam MOOC, it is another platform, right, Hafiza?
Yeah.
This one is in ELIP itself. I think kalau MOOC tu kalau fully online, maybe sesuai N6, kita tak sure UNIMAS memang nak pergi ke guna MOOC platform ataupun ELIP platform. So kita kena decide on that lah. If it is in ELIP, then the online lesson kita boleh craft, let's say the first one is introduction. Dia ada show the progress, macam MOOC juga dia ada show the progress. So the student berapa persen dia punya progress. Sometimes 100% progress, tapi it shows the time is about 2 minutes. So maksudnya dia klik, jadi complete, button complete. So we take it as, in my class, I always tell students, this one is not counted, even though you put click completed, but then it's no way that you're going to finish everything, watch
in 2 minutes.
The activities in 2 minutes, or even 10 minutes, because we crafted everything, maybe about 3 hours in total. Bukan sekali masuk, maksudnya dia progress tu, dia boleh masuk kemudian, and then sambung lagi tengok kemudian, and then until they click button completed. So we can, I think, for the purpose of the audit, that function is very, very useful.
Right.
Just to share.
Yeah, good, Mahani, good. At least you can tell the auditors we don't simply take in the figures. Time flies.
Time flies very fast. And tak perasan pun, Prof. Cepat.
Yeah,
Banyak
yeah.
info yang we got from you, Prof. Thank you so much. Wow. Okay. So I guess there's no more questions. So thank you so much, Prof. Andy.
You're welcome. You're
There's a
welcome.
lot of information. Sampai buka table 4 one by one. You look at it and you advise us. You suggest. So it's really good. So hopefully, my friends who are currently doing the ODL, punya SIM ODL courses, hopefully this webinars, these sessions will benefit you a lot. Banyak dari start sampai hujung, sampai from top to down punya ni. Okay, and from our e-learning center juga, from our side, thank you so much. We learn a lot. So again, there's a lot work to do.
Yes,
Yeah. yeah, there's a lot to do, especially with the standardized template for the ODL. So again, we need to speed it up sebab nanti akan digunakan for all the lecturers here as well.
Correct.
And then for the platform untuk ODL, nanti we will use Elite, not open learning lah. Okay. But again, nanti benda ni akan dibincangkan dan akan diinform kepada semua ODL instructors nanti. Right. So again, Prof. Andy, your last word to us or suggestions to UNIMAS who is newbie to ODL.
No, my only advice or rather words, parting remarks is that always remember the 2 I's when you are doing an ODL. This brings us back to remember how do you make sure there is independent learning, which is the LMS that we have spoken about. Then the second thing is that how do you interact with the learners? How do you make sure the interaction is continuous there? Not only saying that you will interact during tutorial, you interact during the scheduled forum. The interaction can come in many forms. Like for example, you're using WhatsApp, that is interaction, but that probably will be on a social-based interaction where you want to know the learners better. And nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. It's just that probably because this is something new, you are going on a new ground, new territory. That's why you feel a bit a bit out of place. But this is not rocket science. I'm very sure you can do it. I'm very, very sure, 100% sure. If you put your heart, your soul into it, and of course, the deans won't overload you with other kerja hakiki. Allow you to focus on to developing this ODL part. Okay, so bak kata pepatah, kalau mudik sudah sampai ke hulu, kalau hanyut sudah sampai ke kuala. So serangkap pantun saya nak hadiahkan kepada anda semua sebagai kenangan manis bersama ya. Rio sekampung kita berkumpul, bertukar pendapat, bertemu minda. Pandangan ramai bersama disimpul, which is true. ODL mantap di UNIMAS, tegak membina. So all the best, colleagues. Yeah, pleasure meeting you, even though it's through Persada Maya ini. And kalau ada sebarang keterlanjuran kata-kata, saya mohon maaf. And if there's anything yang saya telah menghiris sanubari kamu tadi melalui perkataan yang saya ajukan, especially frightening Shafina, saying that I'm going to ask her over and over again.
But it worked, Prof. Ultimately, the outcome was good. So, I think now we are moving towards hasil kan, outcome based.
Yes, correct.
So it was, even 3 hours tak bangun pergi toilet ni, that means it was a good session.
Okay.
So, Prof nanti jangan lupa bergambar, Prof. That's why I buka kamera.
Okay.
Prof
Okay,
bagi baju
baik.
pantun ni, kejap lagi tengok off.
So thank you so much, okay?
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Prof. Andy.
Thank
See you when I
you.
see you.
Yes. I see you when I see you. Enjoy yourself. Your lunch.
Thank you, Dr. Hafiza and Kam.
Thank
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
All right.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Bye. Oh,
Bye.
Prof. Andy pun jawab salam juga.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye to all. Thank you.
Bye.